So, hello everybody and welcome back to our channel. It's been a little while, it's been quiet over here. If you follow me on Instagram, you may be knowing what's going on. So if you follow me, well, us, on Instagram, you may know what's been going on. So obviously our original plan for the videos would have been the wedding videos, the holiday videos, and then probably bits in between, and then the baby video that we did start filming, which I have got the footage for, obviously, which is kind of why I wanted to talk through this video, because I have got some of the footage. So I am going to insert some of those clips of like when we found out, or I mean, it's just a bit of a complicated. I feel like the whole way we found out was quite, it wasn't like smooth sailing. It wasn't like the classic like I'll do the test and I'm gonna surprise Con with it. That's really not how it went. But yeah, so basically, long story short, unfortunately we did have a miscarriage. So I really don't want to cry in this video. There's definitely crying in this video, not from right now, obviously in the clips that I filmed at the time. We've had a little while to process everything, and right now we're kind of in the like
trying to get back to
normal, yeah.
Trying to get back in a routine.
But also
sort of
like it just comes in waves. Like I've had quite a few like up and down moments, which is obviously totally understandable. But also I was really unsure like how to go about this and what to post and what not to post, or even to post about it at all. But I really genuinely feel like I'd be doing you guys a disjustice if I didn't, because I just want to be.
You gotta be real. You gotta show all your feelings and everything that's going on. Yeah.
So it might be a little bit of an emotional video. I'm gonna give out a trigger warning now for miscarriages, pregnancy loss. But also I kind of just want to raise awareness on the situation. Like, it's so much more common than we ever thought or we ever knew.
It happens
like
1 in 4?
Well, yeah, 1 in 4 people that actually know they're pregnant. Because obviously you can have a miscarriage early on and not even realise you're pregnant and think it was a period. But anyway, the amount of people that messaged me was literally mind-blowing. So honestly, your guys' messages and comments and just support in general has been one of the things that's helped me through this. Like, honestly, I had thousands and thousands of people message me, which it makes me feel reassured that I'm not the only. Like, I feel like when you're in this situation, you can feel like quite lonely. Yeah, I just want to say thank you to you guys for that. And I haven't really gone into properly on Instagram everything that happened. So I'm kind of just gonna go through everything here and explain, because I've had a few questions and quite a lot of them are the same. So I'm gonna start with whether we were trying for this baby, because that always comes up, and we were trying for this baby.
100%. Yeah.
We knew that we wanted to get pregnant like after the wedding, if that makes sense.
Just after, didn't well?
Yeah. Well, we actually
around
the wedding.
Yeah, not just after, around.
Yeah, so we fell pregnant. We found out we were pregnant literally the week before the wedding, which we were fine with, because I wouldn't have been pregnant enough to be sick, if that makes sense, because I get really ill and I get really sick. I usually end up with HG in my pregnancies, which is hyper something.
You get sick a lot.
I get very sick, yeah. So if we had fallen pregnant then, like we did, because we did very luckily fall pregnant straight away. It was fine, because obviously I wasn't at the stage where I don't drink anyway, so it didn't matter to me whether I was going to be drinking.
Either way, no. Did it really?
So whether it happened before or whether it happened after, it didn't really matter, unless it was obviously to the, basically May was the cut-off, okay? May, that period before the wedding, was the cut-off for us to start trying, because anything before that would have been too much. Yeah, so that was the first question we had quite a lot, is that we were trying for the baby. Second question, yes, I was pregnant at the wedding. Yes, we did know at the wedding.
We knew literally straight away.
Yeah. So basically I started taking tests too early, as you will see in the clips in a minute. I am going to insert that footage of when we did find out. So I think I just started testing too early. But even from the strangest thing, I knew right from the start that something wasn't right. Obviously I've had 2 pregnancies prior, so this one was just very different, and I knew in my gut, I had a gut feeling from the start that something was off.
You said literally at the start that something was up, didn't you?
Yeah.
Early doors.
Yeah, but I was taking tests and some were coming back negative and some were coming back positive. And I'd never had that with either of my pregnancies. Obviously with Noah it was a different situation. We kind of didn't ever expect that to happen. So I literally had a missed period with Noah, so that's when I knew I was pregnant. With Fia we were trying, but we kind of we weren't in it like we were in it this time, were we?
No.
So this time obviously I did my ovulation tests, I tracked my periods, I knew when, like the date I should have ovulated, I knew the date that I was going to need to take the test and things like that, but then I did like the 6 days earlier ones and I was like, oh, what if I try like 7 days earlier, it might work. But anyways, I'll insert those clips now.
Guys, I don't know if you can see, or if I'm just like really clutching at straws, but there's the faintest line. Not sure. Wait. I'm sure there's a freaking line on there. Like before it was quite faint, but I swear it's got darker. Obviously not this blue bit, but there's one next to it. Wait, what? Oh my god, I actually can't believe it. I took a test yesterday, it was negative. And that is 100% got a line on. Not this blue one, but there's one next to it. Can you see that? Oh no, I don't want to get too excited. I don't know how long these take. Oh. Okay, we've just got back from dropping Noah off at nursery and then we popped to Tesco to get some more tests. And then I was doing research online and apparently the Superdrug ones, I'm cold, I'm shivering. The Superdrug ones pick up HCG. HCG? Is it HCG? Can't remember. A little bit more. But the other one I did this morning, there's actually a faint line on it now. I don't know if you're going to be able to see. Can you see? There's a faint line. Obviously when you're really, really early, your HCG levels need to build. And if you do it quite early, as what I've done, your first wee will have the highest levels of HCG. So the later the day goes on, the more the diluted the urine is, which is why it would come up negative. But I read on a forum on Mum's Net because I was literally like, oops, just dropped something down the toilet, that's good. These pick up lower levels of HCG than Clear Blue, but it's really common to get a false negative. And if you've got 2 positives, which I've got out there, then it's more than likely pregnant. So I'm gonna give this a go, and even if this is negative, I'm gonna do it again tomorrow. I'm just gonna keep testing and it should, in theory, get darker and darker. Not sure I am pregnant, you know. Really strange. Not pregnant.
Wake up.
Are we in the cup?
Next we come to.
Oh, there's definitely a line on there, isn't there?
Does it work properly on that one?
Well, it's gone to the 7 line now, so. Guys, I'm convinced, well, I know I'm pregnant, but I have literally, look at the state of me, I am
It's glowing.
drained, absolutely drained.
It's only because we've got loads to do. So.
Yeah.
So we found out last time when you were pregnant with Sophia on Noah's birthday, we were stressed out, and now we got a wedding and we're stressed out.
Yeah.
That's the biggest line I've seen yet.
Yeah, because so basically today would be 2 weeks from conception.
if it was on your birthday, which was the 3rd, and it would be...
Where's your digital test? Where's your digital test?
So basically I'm meant to start my period in 6 days, so... Right, there's 100% alignment on there.
And the waitress left.
There's no sweeties left.
Yeah.
Turn it. Oh, for fuck's sake.
What? I can't be arsed.
It says not pregnant on that one. Wait, but what?
Wait, why is that there still?
Oh, what's that mean?
That's not meant to be there. So I don't even know if this test is right because it's got the 2 dots underneath it still.
But wait.
And it didn't flash red.
Alright, what we'll do, we'll keep the wee. We've got more tests coming today.
Yeah.
Okay, I've just had my lashes and brows done for the wedding, so ignore how dark they look right now. I need to put some tan on my face. But I've just done another test because these came in my Amazon order and this wasn't from the first week of the day. And it's got a line, it's come up already.
Actually, I don't think you need to take any more.
No, after the digital.
Hey, wait, have you done digital?
Yeah, it's in my pocket.
Have you not looked yet?
No.
Oh.
Ready?
3, 2, 1.
This is it!
Pregnant. Oh my god.
Oh my god!
That's the first one. She's pregnant!
So yeah, it was kind of like all over the place. We spent a lot of money on tests, but even then I was like, for days they were coming back positive and some were negative.
We were just confused, I think.
We were very confused.
And we couldn't really get too excited.
No, I don't, for some reason, like I said, I just knew, so I never felt like overly excited anyway. Only a few people knew. We didn't even tell our parents until a little bit later on, did we? We told them just before, I told my parents just before we went on holiday.
Maybe 5, 6 weeks. Maybe
7 weeks, I was
yeah.
7 weeks pregnant. So yeah, because obviously we were going on holiday with my mum and my stepdad, so I was pregnant on holiday. I was very bloated. I have never been so bloated in my whole life.
Were you starting to be sick at that point?
Yeah, so I started to be sick on holiday. But also I started spotting. So this I never had with Noah or Fia, but I know also can be normal. It can be normal. And when I phoned the GP, they told me it was normal. Sorry if you can hear that fly, by the way. It's literally so annoying. Yeah, I phoned the GP because I was worried when I got back from holiday, and then they were like, oh no, it sounds really normal. I knew it wasn't normal to me. Like, it might be normal for someone else, but for me this was not normal.
Yeah.
So then we phoned the early pregnancy unit. That I didn't even know was a thing over here. I'd booked like 2 private scans that I never even ended up going
I reckon
to.
every hospital must have one.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, so I phoned the early pregnancy unit and they brought me in for a scan the day after. And we went in and everything was fine. Like, they did my belly scan. But sometimes when you're that early, they do like an internal one if they can't see properly. But they could see a heartbeat, they could see that the baby was positioned in the right place, because they also look for ectopic pregnancies, or ectopic pregnancies. But they were telling me that I was just over 6 weeks and I was 8 weeks at the time. And I know dates can be a little bit out.
It was 10 days exactly, I think.
Yeah, so it was almost like 2 weeks out, and I was like, that can't be right. Like, I know something.
You track
right.
everything as well. You know every.
Yeah, and she was like, oh, sometimes you
period.
don't know when you ovulate, or you don't know when you conceive. I was like, but I know. No, I don't actually know when I conceive. That would be a lot. But I knew when I ovulated, and I had everything tracked. I knew when my last period was, so my dates were right. I know sometimes they can be out because it was the same with Fia and Noah. I was either like a couple of days ahead or a couple of days behind, but literally
never that much.
No,
yeah.
not 10 days. So as much as obviously we got the little scan and I felt reassured, I didn't feel reassured, if that makes sense. Like, I knew something still wasn't right. So we just basically carried on our weeks. I was getting more and more sick. I then started to get really ill. And then I started bleeding a bit more. Like, it never was really a lot of blood, was it? Also, I do just want to say, I really don't know how to go about this, because I don't want anybody that's pregnant to worry. Like, because I know how much in pregnancy you worry, because I remember when I was pregnant with Fia, I was so nervous that something bad was going to happen.
And I think, like they say, spotting is so normal.
Yeah.
Because the maternity
No.
people wouldn't say it.
No.
Well, the early pregnancy
Yeah.
place and the GPs say it.
Yeah.
So I'm presuming it's quite normal.
Yeah, it is quite normal. Like people, they literally told me multiple times.
People can
like,
spot all the way through.
Throughout their whole pregnancies. People can have periods throughout their whole pregnancies. But personally for me, I knew that something wasn't right. I just had a gut feeling. And I just feel thankful that my body was sending me like alarms, because I knew that something wasn't right. So I started bleeding a little bit more. It wasn't really anything much. And I started to panic. I started to be like, right, I know what's happening. Like it's not, oh, some days it stops. Like some days
That's what made it a bit more confusing.
Yeah, because some days my bleeding, it wasn't even bleeding, like it was literally spotting, but some days I'd literally have none. But yeah, then it started to get a little bit worse.
But that's what made it feel normal.
Yeah.
When you stop spotting, you were like, oh.
Yeah.
You sort of think, oh, everything is fine, it's just what the doctors said.
Yeah. So then I started to panic, and then it was on a Sunday, so the early pregnancy unit wasn't open. So I phoned the maternity unit, and I think I was crying on the phone to them, because I knew what was happening, and I hated people telling me otherwise, like if that makes sense. Like I hated people kept telling me it's normal when I knew it wasn't normal. And then they basically said that I had to phone the early pregnancy unit because it was a Sunday. I phoned them on the Monday, and then they basically couldn't get me until the following day. And I definitely was bleeding a lot more. It was more like the start of a period. Sorry if this is a little bit TMI, but I don't know, I feel like these things just need to be talked about more. So we went to the scan, and we'd basically prepared ourselves.
As well as you can.
Yeah, as well as you can. But I even said to the lady, like, I'm going to be more surprised if there is a heartbeat than there isn't.
Yeah.
Because I knew that something wasn't right. So yeah, I had the scan, and they did a belly one first, and they were saying that they couldn't see properly, which me and Con obviously knew at that point. Like,
straight away you sort of know.
Yeah, because my scan 2 weeks prior,
you could see a heartbeat
they could
instantly.
see a heartbeat. Yeah, literally before they even told us there was a heartbeat, we could see it on the screen. We did have the screens turned off because I said I just didn't want to
see nothing sort of move.
Yeah, I didn't want to see it, to be honest. To be fair, if we'd seen it, it probably wouldn't have looked any different to what we had seen last time, because I generally think if we had gone back a few days later to that first scan, they would have told me there and then that I was having a miscarriage. So yeah, I was 10 weeks when I had a miscarriage, 8 weeks from what they were telling me, but it wasn't 8 weeks. Like, I knew it wasn't 8 weeks, it was 10 weeks. And yeah, it just, from then, I think my whole body was like rejecting this pregnancy. My whole body was rejecting it. I was so run down. I felt horrendous in myself. I was on antibiotics because I was poorly. I'd just been prescribed anti-sickness because my sickness was so bad, so I couldn't keep anything down. So I was literally like a shell of a human, and I knew that something wasn't right. So they did give me a few options. So obviously you can wait for it to happen naturally. Again, I feel like we were so naive in this whole situation. Like, obviously you don't know what to expect if you've not been through it, because nobody talks about it. Like, it's just not a thing that's spoke about, which obviously is understandable, but yeah, it's madness. So they gave me the option of for it to happen naturally, for me to have the pill, which just sped up the process, or to have the surgery. They basically said to me that surgery was the last resort. So I opted for the pill, just because I was at the point. You wanted it out of your system, didn't you? My body was rejecting it so much. I felt horrendous. Like, honestly, when she did my blood test, I almost fainted, which is not like me at all. I've only ever fainted once in my whole life. But I literally, like, it all went black. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna faint. I'm actually gonna faint. And again, I was naive. I thought, like, oh, it's just gonna be a pill and then it would be fine. Probably a few period pains or whatever. Again, this is just my personal story. Everybody's stories are different. And I know there's also people in a situation worse than us.
Yeah, definitely. There's always someone in a worse situation.
Yeah. Not that that makes our feelings any less valid, but it is hard, like, no matter what your situation is. But I am fully aware that we are really lucky to have 2 children. But yeah, so yeah, I was naive. I thought, oh yeah, they're just going to give me a pill and it would be a bit of cramping, but no, that wasn't it at all. They were quite vague, not vague, but they just kind of...
They didn't really...
I don't know how, they just weren't very...
I don't know if it's because it's so normal, like, they just sort of expect you to know.
Yeah, so normal to them, because
Yeah,
they obviously
yeah.
deal with it a lot.
But we didn't really know
Obviously
how
we
much
didn't
pain
know.
you were going to be in, and
No, they didn't really
explain how quick...
emphasise how...
It happened all so fast, like...
Yeah, so basically what they told us was that you have 4 pills that you had to dissolve under your tongue for half an hour, and I wasn't allowed to swallow them. And then 4 hours later, I'd have to do another, was it 2 or 3?
2.
2. So...
But the sort of impression after them pills, I thought, oh, in about 3-4 hours it would kick in.
Yeah, so...
After the second lot.
Yeah, so she basically said within 24 to 36 hours, you will start to...
Period cramps.
Yeah, really, like she said, strong cramps, and you'll start to lose it, basically. And I was like, okay, that's fine, like, I can deal with that. I thought it was kind of going to be like a slow dribs and drabs process kind of thing. I feel like people don't actually realise that you have to... Well, I didn't even realise. Obviously, I realised to an extent, but I never thought, like, there was an actual fetus that was going to come out of me. Like, it was honestly the most traumatic experience of my life. We came home, I took the tablets.
The first 4.
The first 4, and within about 15 minutes.
If that.
So it still hadn't dissolved in my mouth. I started like shaking so much. Like, I have never been like that before.
Like, from my perspective, I thought Liv was just in a bit of a state of a shock.
Yeah.
From obviously finding out we've just lost our baby. Her lips, your teeth were chattering.
Yeah, I couldn't stop shaking.
And I was just like, just go to bed for a bit. I was literally making a coffee downstairs. I didn't really know what to expect. And you said, Con, I need you up here.
Yeah, I didn't want to be... Well, she did say you won't want to be on your own, and I was like, obviously I'm not going to want to be on my own, but I could not be on my own. I went upstairs and I was freezing cold. I was
boiling in the room.
And I had to put my heated blanket on 3, like the hottest setting, and I was shaking. I ended up phoning my mum crying because I was like, Mum, I'm in so much pain, like, what's happening? This is within...
Well, it's the most pain I've ever seen you in.
Yeah, like, I couldn't even
or
speak.
Anyone in, to be honest.
I couldn't speak, I couldn't talk, I could barely even cry. I couldn't really cry properly because I was in so much pain, and then it just got to the point where I was just like crying my eyes out because I was like, this can't be normal.
I was even trying to Google, like, is this normal? And I couldn't really find anything.
Yeah, I googled when I started shaking. I was like shaking, like when having a miscarriage.
But she was in so much pain. I literally rang 111.
We phoned the early pregnancy unit. They didn't answer.
Yeah.
We phoned 111 and it cut off when we were like mid-through, trying to get through.
So I ended up ringing 999.
And the ambulance people were lovely. And they spoke to me and they said they were going to pass it through to the doctors. Because obviously we didn't know if this was normal. They didn't really explain. They didn't explain what was going to happen,
especially
really.
That fast. It was all within like an hour and a half.
And they said the doctors would phone me back within 2 hours. No one phoned us back. So it's just lucky that I wasn't in a situation where I was on my own, because anything could have happened.
Like, we were trying to I was trying to sort out the kids as well, because obviously we had the kids.
Yeah.
And I was just like, luckily my sister was about.
Yeah.
But at that point when I was on the phone to my sister, that's when you went to the toilet, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was like, I can feel myself bleeding. So I went to the toilet and it literally, again, TMI and very sensitive, but it just all come out of me. And it was the most traumatic thing. I literally just sat on the toilet for about half an hour and cried because it was just horrible. Like, it was horrible.
But then your pain started to ease.
And then as soon as it was out my system, my pains, I had obviously cramps for a couple of days. Yeah, so everybody's different, and that kind of was...
To be fair, there might not be too much on the internet about it, because maybe it does take 6 hours, whatever it takes.
Yeah, so I hadn't even taken the other pills.
And you felt...
And I was already past.
Not in pain, basically. Not in the pain you were.
Yeah, so I was kind of like, oh, so do I even need to take these other ones? But obviously I did. But it was just... like the amount of time it happened. I think my body was so close to passing it all through naturally. I think that's why it happened so quickly. But yeah, the days after that were just horrendous. But I'm going to insert the clips from that day, and maybe there was one from the day before, I think, actually, when I started speaking about it, when I thought it was happening. So I'm going to insert those clips for you guys now. I do get quite upset in them. I haven't actually edited it all back yet, but I did make a little reel to explain what had gone on, and yeah, it was quite hard to like edit because it's quite horrible to see how upset I was. But yeah, I'm going to insert those clips now for you guys.
I feel like I'd be doing you guys a disjustice. Oh. I feel like I'd be doing you guys a disjustice if I only vlogged the positive things in my life. Because that's not reality, and I would hate to paint a false reality for anyone. And these things are really real. Are really common, not really talked about, but also my worst fear. So obviously I've spoke to you guys in the past about how I've had spotting for like a couple of weeks, and I've been for an early scan. We went for an early scan and everything was fine, but I just knew in my gut that something wasn't right. I spoke to them multiple times. I spoke to different doctors, and I spoke to the clinic again, and they just said it can be normal, and just to look out for any heavy bleeding, and then yeah, it started to slow down, the spotting. And then yesterday when I arrived, I had a lot more blood than I've had before, and basically since then it's just got worse and worse, like a period. And I've had some like tummy cramps, and I knew, I think I said in one of the clips, like I have a gut feeling this isn't right. And I'm just so scared to go to the hospital. I need to phone the early clinic and hopefully they'll get me in today. But my worst nightmare has always been just seeing an ultrasound with no heartbeat. And I know that's what I'm going to have to do today. And I'm scared, and I just don't know how to not feel like, I just don't know how to not be so anxious about it. Like, there's nothing I can do. But as I said, this has always been one of like my worst fears. And I just, and I know miscarriages are really normal. So I just wanted to, want to make sure you guys see every angle. Actually, I'm not even sure what I want to do with this. I'm not sure, because obviously I've documented everything from finding out before the wedding. I don't know, I just had this whole time I've just had this gut feeling that something's not right. I don't know, I feel like I'm really in tune with like my gut, and I feel like sometimes you shy away from a gut feeling, but I just knew. So I'm gonna have to face my worst fear today. Character building, I suppose. And go to a scan and see an ultrasound with no heartbeat. feeling so awful anyway, because I'm not very well. And I don't know if it's just because my body is just shutting down at the moment. I don't know. I hope I don't have to have surgery. I've never had surgery before. This is a lot. But yeah, I mean, at this point it's not like I can't think the worst. I know, like, I just know that this is what is happening. I just don't know how I'm gonna be, like, okay. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna feel okay to, like, fall pregnant again. Like, it's so scary. Oh, it's so scary. I don't know. But this is clearly just part of our journey. And it's okay. I just don't want to, like, I don't know. I'm trying to be strong. But it's scary when you're going through something that you've never been through before. I know that Connor's really nervous. He wouldn't tell me he's nervous because he wouldn't want me to worry. But I know he is. He's gonna be, well, he's really upset. I think he's more upset because he's worried about how I'm gonna feel. But yeah. Life's a climb, I suppose, isn't it? Okay. I feel like I can sit down and talk now because it's happened. I feel like this whole video is just going to have to come with a trigger warning, and I'm going to try not to cry because, yeah, I just, obviously sorry for my appearance and angle and whatnot, but basically it's fine. I am okay, like, I am actually okay. But if you'd asked me what my worst fear was other than death, my worst fear is like a miscarriage, just because we obviously were in the situation where we wanted to start trying for another baby, and for some reason, like, I honestly don't know why, for some reason I've always seen a miscarriage in my path. Like, I feel like, and I know it might sound weird, but I feel like I'm really in tune with my body. Like, I know everything about my body. So when I first fell pregnant, maybe I should do this like a proper story time, but basically I just want to update you on what this is right now, because you would have seen a full story, miscarriage story, before this. But yeah, so basically, obviously I phoned them, I don't know when I last updated you guys, yesterday morning I think it was, and I was like, I'm pretty sure, like, my worst fear is happening. So when I phoned them, they got me an appointment for today. Sorry, I'm very emotional right now, but I feel like it's really important to share. I couldn't talk about this earlier. I really wanted to, I know it sounds crazy, but I really wanted to get footage of what I've been through today, because I feel like people don't talk about it and you don't know it's normal. And yeah, I just feel like I would be doing myself a disjustice if I didn't speak about it. I've just taken my jumper off, by the way, because I was literally, as soon as I took the pills, which I'll explain in a minute, I couldn't stop shaking and I was freezing. But now I'm starting to warm back up. So yeah, I phoned them yesterday, and the earliest they could get me in was this morning. So I went in this morning, and I know this sounds awful, but I would have been so worried if there still was a heartbeat, because I knew something wasn't right. So I went in, they did my 6-week scan, where the little Bubba was okay. honestly, I feel like it must have happened. Like, if I'd gone back 2 days later, it would have been what I thought from the start. But anyways, they did it over my stomach. This morning I tried to have as much water so I had a full bladder as I could, but I just felt so sick and anxious. Luckily I've been sleeping well because, I mean, I'm still exhausted, but yeah. So I went in, they looked on my belly and I told them I don't want to look at the screen because my worst fear is seeing, like a fetus without a heartbeat. Like, it's like soul destroying. Like, it's the worst thing you could think of. And that's always, like, if I've had nightmares about having, like, this happen to me, that's how I've pictured it happening, me lying there. And there being a scan, but no heartbeat. So I said to them, like, I really don't want to look. So they turned the screens off. They did my belly first. And then they were like, oh, we can't really get a clear reading. I was like, right, I know. I just needed the reassurance because I just knew something wasn't right. So they then did an internal scan and then they called someone else in, and then she was like, yeah, I confirm your finding, which obviously I know what that means. And then, yeah, they basically told us that our baby had died, and I do feel fine. Like, I do feel fine. But obviously this is not an ideal situation. This is obviously my worst nightmare. So I would have been 10 weeks pregnant, which I don't know, it's hard, isn't it? I mean, loss at any stage is hard, but yeah. So I've taken the pill and they told me obviously I was going to experience cramping or whatever. They prescribed me codeine, so we went to the pop pharmacy to get that. Took 2 codeines when I took, so basically I was like, oh, so you're just going to give me a pill? So the options were to do it naturally, let it just happen, and I was like, I need it out of my system, like, it's running me down so much. Although I could do the pill or I could do surgery. Now, just from my experience, obviously everybody's different, but personally I would say, would you agree to go with the surgery? I feel like I was at the point where I was about to miscarry myself. So yeah, they said to expect something to happen within 24 to 48 hours. So I assumed they were going to give me 1 pill and that'd be it. They did blood tests when I was there and I felt like I almost fainted. Like, I blacked out, and she was like, oh, you went a bit quiet there. I was like,
Liv being like this right now, about half an hour ago, I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, like, I honestly, I said on the, well, I'll speak about that in a second, but obviously I've had 2 babies and I've never been in that much pain. I feel like you're in that much pain when you have gas and air or you have an epidural. Anyways, so she was then like, oh no, so basically you have 4 pills and you dissolve them under your tongue. Then 4 hours later you have 2 pills and you dissolve them either under your tongue again or like up here. So I had taken the 4 tablets and I took 1 codeine because I was like, oh, codeine is quite strong, should probably be fine. And within, I don't know, 10 minutes of me taking the pill, I was
started shaking after 15, 20 minutes?
Yeah, I couldn't stop shaking. I went to the toilet because I was in so much pain. And then I got really cold, and then I came up here, I got Con to make me a hot water bottle, which is what I've got here. And then I just couldn't stop shaking, and I was in a lot of pain. And then within about an hour, was it about an hour? Well, yeah. I made Con phone 999. I was like, this is not right. Like, I'm in so much.
111 first.
Yeah, and it cut off. And like I said, I've had 2 babies, and I've never been in so much pain in my life. Like, it literally felt like I was going to give birth, which essentially I suppose you are. But she kind of just said that it was
a lot of it was the unexpected.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, I didn't know how long it was going to last, which is what was worrying me. I mean, my phone ran out of storage. I probably should have just filmed on this anyway. But, so, yeah, it was the unknown of, like, what was going to happen. Because they did obviously tell me, like, it was going to be painful or whatever, and they did the codeine. And then I was going to experience some cramping. But, oh my God, I have never been in so much pain in my whole entire life. I couldn't speak, I couldn't stop crying. And that happened within an hour of me taking the pill, and they were kind of like, oh, just expect things to happen within the next 24 hours to 36 hours. We're phoning tomorrow to see how things are going. And then I was like, oh, I can feel that I'm bleeding. So I went to the toilet, and this might be a bit TMI, but yeah, it passed, and now I'm feeling a little bit better.
But you've got to take another tablet.
I haven't even taken the other tablet yet, so...
It's 2 tablets.
Yeah, so in 45 minutes I need to take the 2 other tablets, which I don't know what they're for, I guess.
But even on Google, there's not much about it.
No, like, honestly, I've never been in so much pain in my whole life.
I think we just got caught out, like we didn't...
Yeah, I didn't expect that. I honestly would rather have had the surgery than go through what I just went through.
What, even now?
Yeah.
Even now it's all over? Because I feel like the surgery is a lot longer process.
Yeah, but I feel like even mentally, like, having to go to the toilet and, like, miscarry that way is horrible. But, yeah, I'm still really crampy and I'm still bleeding, obviously, but I'm definitely feeling better. Like, I couldn't even talk, and I really did want to get some clips then because I feel like it's really important to share. I just think it's mad that already I'm feeling a little bit better. Like, I feel like my body was just rejecting this for so long, which is why I'm so run down in myself. And I've taken some time off. I've obviously told my manager and stuff, but it's a hard thing to tell people because it's like, especially people that you've already told that you're pregnant. I feel like I'm going through my worst nightmare, but I feel like I'm dealing with it pretty okay. So we can only go up from here. And they said literally as soon as I get my next period, I'm fine to try again. Like, it wasn't anything to do, like, wrong with me. It was just...
It's a normal thing. It happens.
It
I think
happens
it's
more than often.
1 in 4.
That's the update over here. I'm just going to be recovering in bed. I literally feel like I've been through surgery. I've never had surgery before, but I literally feel like my body is just exhausted, mentally exhausted. But I feel like a release of anxiety, because I feel like if it had carried on and they had told me there was a heartbeat, I wouldn't have been able to stop worrying, because I know this isn't right. Like, I knew from the start that something wasn't right, which is mad. But I told everyone, like I've said, I've been to my scan, it's fine, everyone that I told, but I know it's not fine. Like, I've had 2 pregnancies before, obviously 2 babies, and I never had the symptoms what I had with them. And obviously every pregnancy is different, but I knew this for me, it wasn't normal. And I did keep ringing, and I was meant to have a private scan and I missed it because I didn't want a guy go and then tell me. Like, I kind of just wanted it to be done, like, not in a situation where I'm hoping to see a heartbeat, do you know what I mean? So yeah, that's what's going on now. I'll try and keep you updated throughout the week. I do really want a McDonald's. I haven't been able to eat today. I tried to eat a banana earlier because obviously I was taking codeine. I was like, I don't want to be sick. But I was in so much pain earlier, I couldn't even cry. Like, I mean, I was crying at one point, but I couldn't even do anything.
So, obviously now we are doing a bit better. Like I said, it comes in waves. But yeah, a lot of people have asked if this has changed the way we've felt about future babies and things like that. And to be honest, it's not changed the fact that we want more, has it?
No.
But it's just kind of changed our minds on, like, the timings.
I think it's really hard to explain, to be honest. Like, it'll...
Like, this whole thing is so hard to explain. Like even to our friends, like, it's really hard to explain how we feel, because we don't really even know how to feel. Like, we don't know how...
It's weird things will trigger it off and stuff. Like,
yeah, like, we went to Longleat at the weekend and there was just
so many
pregnant
newborns.
people and newborns, and it's just like I was scrolling through my phone the other day in the car on the way back from Longleat, and I just started crying because I was on Pretty Little Thing and there was just loads of maternity stuff, and I was like, oh, like, I don't know, like, it's a strange one to explain, because I really, it's not even like I look at a pregnancy and I think, oh my god, I wish that was me, because that's not currently how I feel. Like, I currently feel like it would have been us, if that makes sense. But
where it happens 1 in 4, there's so many people who's obviously in the same situation.
Yeah. So I really, and I've had so many people message me just thanking me for just even speaking about it, because so many people have been in the situation and just...
It's a thing they keep quiet.
Yeah, and they just bottle it all up, and I feel like some people feel ashamed. Like, I understand that kind of, like, it's not even like ashamed, it's not even like embarrassment, but you kind of feel like something must be wrong with me. I don't know how to explain it, but I just want anybody that's been through this or knows anybody that's been through this to know that you're not alone. And I am just so grateful to be in the position where I have got Connor, because I literally wouldn't have made it through those few days, weeks, even to now. Like, it's still a really slow journey on getting back onto the right path. Like, I've barely really done any work, we've barely seen people. But honestly, I couldn't even stand up barely. I could barely eat. I had no appetite. I was just in bed and I just slept a lot. So I just feel grateful that I had you throughout it all, because you basically took over everything, didn't you? Kids.
Yeah, but obviously.
Doing me hot water bottles.
Yeah, but.
Making me dinners, putting the slow cooker on, doing the washing up, doing the tidying.
Yeah, but you're the one who had to go through.
I know, but it does affect.
Yeah, obviously.
You as well. You definitely were affected too, weren't you? Definitely were emotional a few times, which is okay, and again, it's normal. But I feel like even in these situations, people don't check on the partners, because it's also really hard for the partners. Like, it's both your baby, and again, I think if you haven't been through it, I feel like miscarriages can really be like overlooked and just been like, well, do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like some people don't understand.
You don't understand until you go through it.
The heartbreak and the devastation until you've been through it, I feel like. But yeah, that is kind of the situation now. We are hopeful for the future. Like I said, we're not really like in the situation right now where we want to rush back into getting pregnant. Like, I feel like I really and you we just wanna focus on ourselves right now and our 2 gorgeous kids that I could just squeeze. We love them so much, obviously, but we just want to focus on ourselves and getting back to feeling like normal.
On the right steps.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, we're both doing a bit of fitness.
Yeah.
Kids, we're trying to be as good as we can.
Yeah, it's just been a journey, and it's still a journey. And a lot of people have said to me that it's one of those things that you do get over, but you never forget. So it's always there. I hope my story has helped you guys a little bit, because it does get better. I promise you, it does get better. But do give yourself time. Like, you genuinely need the time to grieve, and I feel like grief will just come and go, like, throughout. Like, you can't pinpoint it. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys so much. Well, we both do, don't we? Everyone has been so supportive. But yeah, I'm hoping to get back on track with my normal videos soon. But yeah, hopefully the wedding video will be up next. But yeah, I'll catch up with you guys soon. Make sure you're following me on Instagram so you don't miss anything, because that's obviously where I've been the most active. But yeah, I have also filmed a vlog of when we went to Longleat, which was nice. It was nice to feel like back into the swing of things, to be honest.
I think from next week,
yeah,
Liv's gonna get her work head back on.
Yeah.
Love you.
So yeah, we will see you guys soon.